smiling? Should I wait to smile? Oh no, we're going.
One of those things okay, guys, so hello everybody. We're back to doing live. So we're just talking to Dakota, the wonderful man himself. And I'm just saying that on our side, as the stream starts, it shows up with a little bar saying the stream is now live, but it does that about 10 seconds out. And it's always slightly different when it is. So we're sort of going, waiting to begin. So anyway, hello everybody. It's the first time we've done a live in a while. We stopped sort of September time last year because life was just so goddamn busy, but we're starting them up again. And basically the man that I wanted to have in with us for the first one was obviously the delectable Dakota Krout. And this is
everyone.
Budweiser shit biscuit getting on the knee. Get out of it. But basically you've got loads of stuff going on, haven't you, dude?
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah. And it's, I mean, realistically, I mean, dude, it's craziness. Really cool stuff. I'm going to turn your volume up actually, because you're so quiet on my end, which is so wrong for you, you know? Yeah.
I'm so simple and quiet.
No. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, dude.
All right. No, man, it's great. Like there's a ton of stuff going on, and it's I mean, we're coming into this year swinging, and it's going to be a fantastic year. I have tons of titles coming out that I've been working on, and it's yeah. I mean, whew, I'm ready.
Well, you've been so quiet as well, haven't you? It's not like you released anything very recently. You know,
right? Like, yeah.
Upload a ritualist. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was fun. Because I wrote so my goal with this was I wrote 6 books, and I waited to release the first one until October so that I could have one a month for 6 months straight, just to see what that felt like. And if anyone is wondering, it feels like exhaustion, like super like heavy, like, oh my gosh, it's a constant like panic mode of, oh my gosh, there's another book coming out. We got to get those ads running. We got to reach out to people. We've got to find new audience. We have to, you know, all this fun stuff. It's really cool though. I mean, it feels like to me super, super energizing at the same time. But I definitely, when I see you next, Jazz, I'm gonna buy you the beer and just watch you drink it, because first thing, if it hits my lips, it's gonna just knock me out because I'll be that tired.
It's pretty much the first time I came to Dragon Con. It was like that was so energizing. It was so many people, because being in the UK, we don't really do conventions like that. We don't do big gatherings because we all just fight with each other when we do that. So coming across to the US and seeing there's a massive gathering and all these people, and it was great, and it was really energizing for a while. Where you're just like, just leave me alone, please, just leave me, let me sit in the corner and quiet.
5 minutes. Man. I will definitely say though, if you meet me at a conference, I am there to meet people. You know, like if I'm out in public, it's because I want to talk to people. Otherwise, I have this super fantastic office where I can otherwise spend the rest of my time the rest of the whole year, which is what I do.
That's pretty much what I do. But
conventions are people time, man. That's what they're there for.
Yeah, dude. But it was like the first time at Dragon Con was good, and it was people were saying, "Oh, it's a bit quieter than it is normally," and I was like, "Fucking hell!"
And you're like, "This is quiet."
Hello, Facebook user. Give permission to StreamYard to see who you are, and then we'll be able to see who you are as well. So yeah, the first time it was people were saying, "Oh, it's a bit quiet," and I'm going, "There's 100,000 people in like a 2-mile radius. This is not fucking quiet. This is bedlam. This is
total though." Yeah. So normally the conference draws just like 100,000 attendees, man, which means that the support staff is up to like 300,000. It's like crazy numbers of people that show up for that. So it was actually quiet and calm, and like it was like for that conference, right? I'm not saying it was quiet and calm. I'm saying for that conference, it was quiet and calm.
And then last year was just so much more than the year before.
Way better.
No, not way
better. It
was
great. It was like, I handed out like 5,000 books. It was awesome.
Yeah, dude, it was bedlam. Not for me. I mean, I'll do more conventions, but
man, people came back, and they were like ready to go. So they came in and they wanted books, they wanted art, they wanted cool things because they'd been denied that for years, you know, and they were like, let's go. And I was like, yes, this is the time. And so it was, I mean, for me, man, that fills my social batteries like nothing else, just going there and finding people that want to be there and want to be involved and do cool things. And I'm like, yeah.
I loved it, but it was also a case of after a while, it's like there's just too many fucking people here. And yes, okay, Xander, I do like a little bit of bedlam, just a little bit, and there might have been a bit of rum involved occasionally as well.
A tish,
and then you know, so it might have been a bit blurry at times, but beyond that, it was good.
Yeah,
I'll definitely be doing more conventions. It was just sort of a bit of a shock to the system coming from the UK.
Well, you have to, man. I mean, you in Geneva, and is it your wife is also co-owner, or like how's that one work? Yeah, but I mean, you guys are running a company. That means you got to be the public face. That means you have to be places. You know. Yeah. I'm sorry that that came out more evil than I expected.
Sounded about right to me. Come on, well,
yeah, I'm like, it's just fun to see you in that position. Like you're like, oh, I'm here just here for fun, and people are gonna be like, hey, man, so excited to see you. Let me tell you about all of this stuff that I got going on. You're gonna be like, oh, well, I just want to have fun, and then all of a sudden, a year will have passed, and you'll be like, have I had a single drink in the last year? And then
it's very strange. I was always selling it to my wife as this is work. I'm coming here for work. We'll come back to you in a minute, Jay. And it was like, no, darling, I don't want to go. I'm just going to here for like 6 days of solid drinking, and I'm going to hate every minute of it. Don't you worry. No.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now I have to actually work when I'm there and actually remember the people I've talked to. I think this is terrible. Mm-hmm. This is not what I signed up for. This is not what I did this for. I expected to be bought drinks and party. And darling, if you're watching this, I didn't say any of that. Just totally forget it. It's totally worth it.
Oh, great. No, it's super fun, man. And what's going on? Like, what's new? What brings us in? It's a New Year's 2024.
God, yes.
You got some fun stuff going on too, right? Like things happening and people moving.
Busy as buggery really at the minute. We're just running around like something not right. We've got a bunch of books coming through that are working their way through the sort of the process. I mean, you know how it is where you have your editors.
Yep.
Because of doing this, I viewed it from the outside starting this. KT, love you, Don. I viewed this starting as it'd just be like it is for me. So, I read the book, I write the book, I just quickly go straight through, boom, there you go. Straight off to the editors, go, there you go, fix that fucker. It comes back, I read through it, boom, 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 yep, next editor, there you go. And now people are like going, oh no, I need like 2 or 3 weeks to read through it. And I'm going, what are you looking for? And I'm now sort of full of paranoia going, what the fuck have I missed? What have I been doing when I send my book off in like this fast? Mm-hmm. And you start to see the way that people, Sharon, the way the people's different processes are, and everybody does it so differently.
So different.
In a good way.
It's really cool at the same time, but definitely it can definitely be it can be a lot, man. Like because the hardest thing I ever had to learn as a publisher was how to say no, right? Because I want to take everyone on, like I've always wanted to do that. Like I'm like, hey man, I want to be the hand that is reaching out to offer a chance like I wish I had when I first started, right? Like if I would have had someone like me reach out when I was first getting started in publishing,
he said it.
Man, I would have been on that. I would absolutely resources, knowledge, whatever else. I mean, it worked out really well that didn't happen for me, but man, I mean, I see how many people it doesn't, and I'm like, I've always wanted to be that. So it can be painful not to, but boy, like finding out like how much of your own time you need to invest, and kind of what that does to your own ability to produce and write. And it's you need to be really, really careful shepherd of your time, right? And it's just that was definitely the hardest thing for me to learn. It took way too long, but man, it's great now, and people I work with are fantastic, and I mean, it's just great.
I know exactly what you mean, because the time, so many of the things that you see, you go, well, actually, this could be great. It just needs, and you just, and you start looking at it and going, but it'd be this much of my time is now dedicated to this single project.
Right. This other guy is also really good and needs no work except like a fantastic cover art and like a light touch on edit and like a light touch on this. It's like, okay, well, that guy's gonna need to get my time. And I mean, it's tough because it's tough because it's tough. But that's
It
that's
is.
that's why not everyone does it, right? It is
Yeah.
difficult, and it is painful, and man, it's heartache. And when you don't take people on, sometimes they're upset about with you, and yeah, it's a whole thing. But it's worth
Very
doing
much so.
every single time. Yeah.
But then you see some of the way things go, and you see people raving about a book that
Mhm.
you've helped to put out. I mean, it's not your work;
Yeah, buddy.
you've helped to polish it, you've helped to tweak, you've helped to do these things.
Mhm.
And
And it's
you
the
look at
coolest crap ever.
your friend who's made it with this and who's doing so well, and you're really proud of
Mhm.
them, and you're like, "Fucking
Yeah,
get on there!" Yeah,
exactly, man.
no, it's a
I
lovely,
had
lovely thing.
so many examples of that. But it's one of those really interesting things with publishing, because as a publisher, every success is your success, every failure is your failure, right?
Mm.
And so it's like, man, are we doing everything we can for the people that are relying on us to do everything we can? And if the answer is not yes, man, sometimes it's better to let them find opportunity elsewhere. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah,
if I'm looking at my publishing schedule, I'm like, look, I could sign this person, but then it's gonna be 6 months to a year before I can give them any attention. I just say no,
mhm.
because like, bro, like there's so many people out there that want to give you help and have the time and energy right now, and that's
Yeah,
that's when you need the help, is right now. So go and get that. And it's a
exactly.
big thing. Actually, that's a Dave Ramsey thing. I don't know if you're into that, but like
No,
letting
no.
people go to find opportunity is one of the best things that you can do if you are not able to serve them correctly. And I think that's a really hard lesson to learn, but I think it's a really important one.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I've not heard
Yeah.
that before, but it is something I'll agree with, definitely. I mean,
Mhm.
on our side of things, we planned this out for about a year before we started, and it was always a case of I would do a lot of the book side of things because that's what I
Books.
do for me, And I'll just say it
Sorry,
again
I'm
for
just
the word
I'm
book.
agreeing with people on how they love how you say books.
Yeah.
Um, books. It's like a spooky book. Spooky.
I remember being at school and one of my teachers telling us that she was from down south, weirdo, and telling us, no, 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 it's book. I'm going, no, no, there's two O's in it. It's book. No, 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 book. No, no, no. You don't say book. You say fuck with a U
Is
and
it
a
a
C.
chicken?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, no, no, no. This is a book. This is a book. Sorry, I'm just going to move for a second. Rob has chosen this wonderful time to go to the toilet. I am in my kitchen, and that's the door.
Perfect.
So, perfect time, but at least it's cool.
Man, that's a nice kitchen, man. I love the wall of like family memorabilia you got there. That's always a fun thing.
The wall of madness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My boys. My boys in the family. It's always nice to see them. How I always say, fuck, it was food. My brother and I used to compete.
KT, you're always fun. She's practically my neighbor, man. Like if we're like comparing where you and I live and where she and I live, she's like
Yeah.
not all that far, like only a couple hours drive. So, if you're my neighbor across the pond, she's like,
See, I find that
in America, in America,
that's always the
2 hour
thing.
drive is not a crazy far distance,
But that's the thing I always notice with Americans. In England, we do everything by miles. Americans do everything by hours. Like it'll be
Mhm.
4 hours away, it'll be 3 hours away,
Yeah.
or whatever. While we view it as like, well, if it's 4 hours away, I can get from here to London. So that's like the other end of the country.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Sorry.
That's wild, man. If I travel 4 hours south, I don't even think I leave Kansas. So
Dude. Could I was drive? Exactly,
it's
yeah.
wild.
Though weirdly, because our system here is so antiquated, I mean, where I used to work when I was welding, it would take me about an hour and a quarter to drive to work, and it's 12 miles
Sure.
away. It's literally 12 miles away. No, sorry, 6
An
miles
hour
because
to
it's
drive 12 miles.
because it's 12 miles there and back, so it's 6 miles away. But it's just that the roads are so bad and so narrow that once it gets
Mm,
congested, that's it. You're fucked. So I'd be setting
yep.
off for a 9 o'clock start at work, and I'd be setting off at like 7:30. And you're just like, Dimmy, dude. I love that photo of Dimmy's on his profile picture where he's looking at the pyramids. Always love that photo. Right.
I don't think I've ever seen his face. I've always seen him slightly from behind in profile. You know,
That's because there's actually 6 different people wearing dressing up.
makes sense.
Paul,
Like 4
Kansas City.
raccoons in a trench coat.
Yeah, 3 kobolds. Yeah, that would be the mental image, wouldn't it? Jesus Christ.
Makes sense to me.
Let's talk about your books, dude. So talk about the stuff you've got coming out. Tell us.
Sure, dude.
Do you want to start on your older stuff first? Do you want to talk us through all the way through to what you've got now? Or?
Oh man, I don't know. You pick a direction, man. I'll go. Like just
let's start at the beginning because Jesus, start at the very beginning because that's where I found your stuff. Was definitely the Dungeon Core. That's
man, you want to talk about Dungeon Core? Holy cow, man! That was a while back. I mean, I love those books. I really do. I mean, they gave me. I mean, that was the start of all opportunity I had in this career path. I mean, that got me hooked up with my D&D group. That got me hooked up with like way more people than I ever expected it to. So that was really cool. Dungeon Core, man, is definitely some hard stuff to write though, because it is, it's difficult because everything new you are supposed to have to bring in, right? And so like eventually I'm just like, okay, I'm taking the whole dungeon and leaving, right? Like I just took a mountain with me, because like otherwise you have to import all of your drama, all the storyline has to come in to the view of your dungeon. And so I think that's one of the reasons why we don't really see a ton of Dungeon Core these days is people get going on it and they're like, man, this is really difficult to write and write well and write continually without it turning into a completely different genre, right? Like I would say like if your dungeon takes on human form and walks around, I don't really consider that Dungeon Core anymore. Like that's like, just progression. You progress like evolution. You're a monster that now has this new form and now is able to do a bunch of different things. It's totally fine. Great books, but is it the same genre? Hard to say. So
see, I found because I really liked the Dungeon Core stories. I really liked your ones there, but I read them and it was a case of I was starting writing and stuff, and it was like I'd love to do this. I could never do this. And it wasn't just the fact that I was at that point going, I can never write. I'm a dumb welder. I can't do this shit. It was no, seriously, that's what I was. But it's literally a case of.
Well, no, I'm not saying you were never a welder. No, I'm saying like, yeah, of course you could write, man.
No,
like,
but I genuinely
I
believed I couldn't. That this was something that I would never be able to do. That's just it. But where I was at that point, when I was writing and I'd started to write, it was a case of looking at yours and going, I can't see how I could ever write something like this because my stories are first-person perspective. It's the character that drives. So I was like, I can't figure out how to do all this. And I just went, I can't do Dungeon Core, period. Until I read Dean Henniger's Derelict. And the way that twisted the whole thing around so that he was the core and he was in the ship and, the whole thing. See you later, Sharon. Right. Thanks for joining us, Dom.
Nice.
He will. I'll just write some craziness. Okay. But at that point, I was like, I see. Suddenly, I must try. But I could never do as central as your work. No, definitely not.
It was definitely a man. It was a lot of fun to do. But I don't know. So I'm kind of what's the word? I think that I'm a bit of a strange author. Because I love whatever book I'm writing at that moment the most. Whatever book I'm writing, I love that book, right? I don't write books I don't like. And every time I am doing something, so I was like, what's your favorite book? I'm like, dude, I'm writing this new book right now, and it is the best thing I've ever written in my entire life, and it's fantastic, and it's great. I'm able to bring in all my previous experience and like put it to good use here. And so it's and it's so different for me because I talk to every author, and I'm like, oh man, what are you writing right now? And they're like, oh, don't ask me about that piece of garbage. And it's like, no, I'm sure it's great. Like, why else would you write? And they're like, because I must write this. It is, I am birthing this monster, and I must. And it's like, okay, am I the weird one? Like, I don't know, man. Like, I don't know, because so it's kind of funny because I've put out 4 books that I've written before. So I put out 4 books this last year that I wrote after I wrote the book that's coming out on Tuesday. right? So yeah, so for anyone who is watching right now, I have a new trilogy coming out starting on Tuesday, right? So the trilogy is called Cooking with Disaster, and it is a friendly book for foodies and apocalyptic readers and it's real fun. It's going to be a fully completed trilogy, so it's coming out January, February, and March, right? So book 1, 2, and 3, boom, boom, boom. And the reason it's coming out a year after it was written is thank you, Geneva. The reason that it's coming out so much later than I wrote it is I was going and I started talking with Audible, and they said, "Hey man, like we really like your stuff and we want to make a deal with you." And I said, I don't know, man, how many books you want? And they said 3. And I was like, well, I'm 2 books into this series that I'm writing right now. And then I kept him in negotiation until I could finish the 3rd one.
You're like, I have this.
I was like, "Oh, let me take this back to my financial team and we'll talk. Yeah, we'll dialogue back and forth." And I don't know, man. I feel like I was making them nervous or something because they were like, "Yeah, that's cool, weird but cool."
They're like, no, we've offered money. You should be jumping here and taking this.
Yeah, no, but it was really fun because I'm in a really cool position where, like, if it's a bad deal, I wouldn't have taken it. They gave me a fantastic deal. Like, they're doing so much in terms of marketing and promotion. If everything goes correctly, if everything goes correctly, book 1, 2, and 3, I should have the front page of Audible for their release days at the minimum.
Nice.
And so they said it should be the books will be in every carousel, the front page. I have a special landing page for my stuff. It's all dolled up. It's all super pretty. And I didn't tell them this part, but I'll tell you this part. I would have taken $0, right? I would have like for the career opportunity that they're hopefully offering here, right? I would have practically given them 3 books. But there's a fun thing. I forget the exact saying, but I think it's like the price oftentimes equals quality, right? So like if they don't think that it is quality, like if they don't pay a high price, then they won't think it's high quality, right? And I forget the exact saying.
You value what you buy.
Yeah. And so we negotiated really well with them, and they like just kept saying like I didn't ask for anything except more promotional opportunities for the series. And they kept being like, "Well, how about this?" And I was like, "I don't care about that. I want to see my stuff like on a billboard somewhere. I want to see it like every banner, every carousel, every email you guys send out, all this stuff." And they're like, "Oh, okay. Like doesn't cost us anything. Why not?" I was like, yes, why not? Definitely.
Yes,
45 other books on the market. Right. And yeah, man. So that's where I'm at. Like, I'm like, hey, if we can get this mainstream, right? If we can push this into the mainstream and bring in like the larger overall epic fantasy readership and bring them into lit RPG and just like smash open that floodgate that's always been just barely cracked. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about, Jez, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like if we can do this mainstream, like Matt Dinniman hit #1 in the world, right? With his stuff, with Dungeon Crawler Carl. How fantastic was that for our genre?
Oh,
right?
Yeah. Massive bulge.
Yeah, man. I got to go to Dragon Con and the lit RPG Under the Sea thing, right? Do you know how many people came up to me and they're like, "I've never heard of your books before"? Most of them. It was the coolest thing ever because they were huge lit RPG fans that had never seen my stuff before. And I was just like, "Take some books. Yes. First one is free. Ha ha ha."
It's like cocaine. The first bit's
free.
Yeah. Get hooked.
Exactly. Yeah. And so like with Matt Dinniman smashing open like a big hole in the floodgates like that, bringing in a larger audience, I'm like, hey man, if I can do that, if another person can do that, if we can just keep doing that, we will become mainstream. And the people that are here now, like the authors that are here now, are going to benefit from that in ways that we don't even understand yet. It's called in technology, it's called technological singularity, right? It's a point in the future that we literally cannot see the other side of, right? But I am so jazzed to hopefully be a part of smashing our genre into mainstream. And so like I'm on my end, I'm doing everything I can to promo this series like above everything else that I have produced of my own, right? And yeah, so we're going super huge with it, and the books themselves are fantastic. So it's my first regressor story, and I'm really happy with that. So I'll give you a little info on book one real quick. So book one comes out on Tuesday. It's called Cooking with Disaster, and it's called Grilled Armageddon. Right. So you'll see a chef in like chef's outfit holding a cleaver and a chef's knife, attacking a cow that's slowly transforming into a flying T-Rex. It's great. So the stakes are very high.
I was just waiting for. I knew it.
Yeah, buddy.
I was like,
yeah, buddy.
There's gonna be someone with a stakes here. There's gonna be a steak
or so many food puns, man.
Steak, I saw.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so many food puns. It's great, man. I really relished writing it. So anyway, so yeah, it's just fantastic stuff. So basically what happens is the main character is, his name is Eli Natchez, right? But so we call him Nacho because of course we do, right? So Nacho is goes through the end of the world, and he's in it for 3 years, and he is the top-rated assassin, top-rated human assassin in the world, right? And but things get dark real quick for him because the whole thing is everything in the world wants, or kind of comes alive and wants to eat everything else, right? However, only certain classes, specifically chef classes, or they're called sustenance classes, can prepare food safely. And so otherwise you have to buy food directly from the system at like much higher price than anything else, right? It's crazy exorbitant amounts of money that you have to like pay in to get food, and you can only get money by killing monsters, right? So he's in as an assassin and doing fantastically, but eventually he dies off, and you'll see this in the book, but it's very early in the book, so it's not big spoilery. Gets to go back and try again, right? So he gets 6 months before the end of the world to get ready, and then so like prep himself and anyway, so then he goes in and he gets a new class. He becomes a chef, right? But that does not mean he doesn't have the experience that he had as an assassin. So he's still like a fantastic fighter and battler. And then he just goes around and saves the people that died off, like his best friends died off right away in the first go around, saves them and just starts working to save the it's definitely a character redemption arc because he does not really care about saving everyone else. He's an assassin like mentality. And it just turns out that the people around him help him become a much better person, and so he ends up just kind of gritting his teeth and okay, I guess we'll save them too. Great. And then it just goes on. It's fantastic. 3 books, series ends. If there is going to be more, it is going to be another series in the future with different characters, because it is a very nicely tied up beginning, middle, and end. So I think it's gonna be really well received by the general fantasy audience as well. So that's gonna be really cool.
Good.
Yeah, lots of words there. Got very excited.
I'm looking forward to it. I was reading the blurb for it, and it was like, yep, I'll be giving that a go. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man. I talked to a lot of chefs about this, like, and let them know that there was audiobooks, and then they were excited. Yeah.
I was literally a chef for 10 years, and it was 9.5 years, and it was a case of we used to listen to audiobooks all the time in the kitchen during the day when you're prepping, and then just hell on earth on the nighttime, obviously when we were actually working. But during the day, we went through so many audiobooks. So yeah, definitely, I can see this being very good for chefs, just because we like abuse.
I hope so, man. Like, because it is like, I really like to cook. I'm a good chef. Like I'm a good cook. I'm not a good chef. I don't cook for other people. But like I really like food. I really like all this stuff. That is not Nacho's bag, man. He does not understand cooking, and it makes for really fun situations in the book. And I'm sorry, in the book. Because he's doing all these things that are absolute rookie mistakes when it comes to cooking, and it's great. It's fantastic. It really is. So yeah.
I'm looking forward to this. And I may well, I'm 50-50 now at the moment whether I get it straight away or whether I wait until I see you next and get 3 fucking signed hardbacks for the set of them off you.
I mean, you're gonna want them right away, man. Everyone's gonna be talking about it, and you don't want to miss out on spoilers.
I'll still download it. And
yeah. And my goal on this. My goal on this is number 1 in Audible store, audio or Kindle. I don't care which one. I would love both. But I can get number 1 in store. I need it for 5 seconds in total, so I can snap a little screenshot and use it in my marketing forever. That's all I care about. Yep.
Yeah.
The rest of it is kind of whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Just sort of
get there a second time. Who cares? Got there once. Did it. Ring that bell.
Yeah. Thanks very much. Good night. I'm done. Yeah.
Exactly.
No, I will have both. I'll have all 3. I'll have the audio. I'll have the ebooks, but I'll get the hardbacks off you when I see you next. It's wherever I see you.
Man, come on. I'm Oh yeah. Speaking of hardcovers and stuff like that, I do have a giveaway going, right? So I have this this cool competition that I'm running right now, and top rated people, like, you can get a super cool coffee maker. So I'm like doing everything that's kind of on brand for me. So there's no restrictions anywhere in the world. You can get this stuff. I'll send it. I'll eat that. Shipping cost is cool. So like number 1 person is, thank you, Geneva. You're on top of stuff. You're fantastic. You can go in there and if you're going to pre-order the books anyway, you might as well have the opportunity to win cool stuff too. I'm for the first the first 21 winners, because you could, like, I'm going to pick 31 different winners. First 21 winners, I believe, are all getting hardcovers, like the whole series hardcover signed, and then the last 10 are getting full series paperback signed. And then also like bags of coffee beans, hats, cool other Dakota Krout stuff. And then, like, I think the number 1 person is getting the really cool, it's called a super premium coffee maker. So it's a Jura E6, and it's like, I have a Jura, so it's like, that's what I use. If you look at the competition, man, you'll just see it. You'll see it right in there. Then the next group of people will be winning like a really cool, like, over open flame coffee maker. And I bought one to test it just to make sure it doesn't, like, come and suck. And
I'll have to.
Fun. Yeah, it's super fun to do. You can do it over an open flame. You can do it over like your stovetop, and it makes perfect coffee, and it never burns the coffee, just because of how the physics of the machine work, which is really neat. And then the last group, so for this competition, dude, I signed I made a deal with I made a partnership. That's where I'm looking for. I made a partnership with a coffee company in my area. So I'm going to have their logo on my store, and people can go and buy their coffee for, like, through me, which is really neat. I can start sending that out as gifts. It's really cool. Yeah. Yes. Oh yes. And sorry, McLeod Andrews is the narrator, and he is a fantastic narrator as well. He actually sounds a lot like Luke Daniels. I don't know if I'm like typecasting my narrators, man, but I hear that velvety voice. I'm like, man, I want that guy. And I was like, is that Luke Daniels? And they're like, no. And I was like, oh, wow. So yeah, that's right.
I've not heard of him before, but say his first name again for me.
McLeod.
Weird. McLeod.
I mean, well, McLeod. Yeah. I mean, that's probably how it's properly said. You would probably know better.
No, I'm just thinking, I know a guy called McLeod.
Well, he's probably McLeod. He's probably McLeod.
Then in America, he's probably McLeod. It's probably the American pronunciation.
Yeah, I mean, I think you are correct, actually, because I've heard it stated like that, but when I read it, I can't not say it in the Americanized version for some reason. So usually I just say, "Hey, Mr. Andrews, how you doing?"
Bob.
Yeah.
Oh God, I know. I've heard a few people when they say my surname especially on audio and so on. They're like Cajiao and stuff, and it's like I was taught that it was Cajiao growing up, so it could well be that it's like the Portuguese pronunciation is Cajiao. It could be fucking Cajiao, and I would have.
I've always said kaiju, like, you know,
because we like to smash things and Yeah,
because you kind of remind me of a Japanese monster, right? Like,
yeah. I was gonna no. I could destroy most of Japan after a very bad night out. So yeah, that would work.
Hang on a second, man. I am either I'm lagging or you are, because
it may well be me here, because unfortunately we're with Sky Internet in the UK, or we are here, and it's been fucking abysmal of late. So if I am lagging, people, I am sorry. Kaiju,
no worries.
yes, definitely Stephen. Cajiao.
Yeah. Can you say your last name for me, just so that I have an idea of how you think it's stated?
Cajiao.
Cajiao.
Cajiao. Yeah.
Cajiao.
So with a harder one, like Cajiao. Yeah.
Cajiao.
But that's. I could just.
Hey man, if it's cool with you, I'd like to just continue calling you Kaiju, because I think.
Oh yeah,
cool.
no, I prefer Kaiju.
Okay, cool.
I may well change that just for shits and giggles. So like, when telemarketers call me up and they go, "Is that Mr. Cajiao?" I just go, "No," hang up.
Sure,
no, it's not me. But now if I move myself to Kaiju, it's even better, because they've got no chance of seeing that from the. And I like putting on people just because I can.
Yep, no, man, that's good. My thing is, like, I don't ever want to pronounce people's names wrong, because a lot of people get really feisty about it. That's why I directly asked, "Is it cool if I just call you this?" Because yeah. I think it'll catch on. Like, he's a monster of publishing. Yeah,
just a monster in the mornings, really. Just generally like terrible and scary. I have been told. But that's enough about me and my sexual preferences.
Okay.
Might as well load the tone when I can. So anyway, a weak monster, you love it, Jay. Looking at this year coming, so Jay asked before, are you coming to JordanCon?
My plan is, yeah. So I'm thinking I will, because I know Geneva had mentioned it to me. However, I have, dude. So it's so funny, because I pulled out a bunch of like places I was going to go this year, and I was like, man, it's gonna be great. I'm gonna spend time at home in this house I bought, and like it's gonna be great. And then my wife is like, hey, so I noticed that your time here is free, so I'm gonna fill it. I'm gonna so now it is currently my most traveled year ever that I'm going to be moving around. And then that's not even taken into account if things go really well and I get neat opportunities for book signings or things like that, which would be neat, but I don't know if I'm going to do them. But yeah, so I want to do JordanCon for sure, because I really like JordanCon. I think it's super cool. I also know that there's going to be a Lit RPG track this year, in no small part because of you guys and Geneva. You guys went out there and made that happen. So I would love to go and support that. So I'll talk to Geneva after this and just see what I need to do to be a part of it. I'll probably just need to buy a ticket and go, right?
Yeah, and we'll all just get together. I mean, at the moment, I know this year, because it's short notice to get together for it, because obviously the approval for it was quite late by the time it's gone through. So it's a case of this is in April for anybody that's interested, and it's going to be primarily, I mean, JordanCon's a much, much smaller con, but it's all readers. It's all people who are interested in reading. So for authors, it's going to be great, because we get to just see readers rather than, like, DragonCon, for example, is brilliant and it's bedlam, as I've said, but it's literally a case of it's more cosplay, and there's billions of people there. So if you think, there's 100,000 people, there's only maybe 1,000 readers or 2,000 readers there, but they're spread across 100,000. So you don't see very many.
Spread across genres, right? So
yeah, exactly. So for us, it's JordanCon is a fantasy con, so they're naturally our people.
Yep.
It's the Wheel of Time. I grew up reading the Wheel of Time, and I fucking love that series.
Yeah, man, and that gives up. I mean, if with that being one of the main things, then there's always the opportunity that maybe Brandon Sanderson will show up. You know what I mean? And
maybe Amazon, because obviously Amazon Prime are making the series at the moment. So those little things where it's like, those are little opportunities that might be there. And
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say it's definitely. I'm viewing it as it's worthwhile. So I'm traveling from the UK for it.
Yeah, man, and I'll definitely try and attend then. So the cool thing is, like, right before then, I'm actually gonna be at GaryCon. All right, so that's for so D&D, so Gary
Yeah,
Gygax, right?
Gygax, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be there and doing some cool stuff, and I got invited to play some really cool games, and I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah, because I mean, I got my start in writing off of playing D&D, right? Like that's why I started writing Divine Dungeon way back when. Is I was our DM, and my group broke up, and I had all of these ideas of how I was going to lure in players and get them to like go after the gold. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go for greed, man. I'm gonna try and get it. And then so I had all these super cool scenarios of how I was going to kill them off, and that turned into Divine Dungeon, right? So that was, I mean, for me, GaryCon is a really cool thing. And but JordanCon, man, I mean, those are like pillars of the fantasy genre, right? So
Yeah.
those books. And so like going there is definitely something I really have been interested in for a long time. So I'm looking forward to it.
Definitely. It's one of these things that for me, JordanCon was one of the cons I always wanted to go to. But financially, growing up, it was just a case of how, in the UK, because it costs literally thousands more for us to be able to go to anything. And then you look at it and you go, well, it's just not realistic. I'll never be able to go to these things. And I just put it all on the back burner. That's it. I'll never go to them. Then when I started writing and coming to DragonCon and stuff, and it was like, I'd like to go to that, but I don't know if I'll be able to get across to that, because I can realistically, I've got two small pet humans. One's 3, one's 5. So I can only take a very limited.
Talk about your wife like that. People think you're Omni-Man.
Well, nah. But it's like I only take so much time a year away from them, and leaving my wife to look after them for any time is they're feral. But the best of times, these kids, they're great.
They're
but they're feral. The milkman walks the limp for a reason. No, they're good kids, really. Just like
okay, all right.
It's literally a case of JordanCon, when they've come back and they've said, hey, look, we will give you a lit RPG track and you guys can run it. So we can do this as a group and be able to get the people that we really want to see on these things and the people who fans really want to see on them. And we can all just, because there's going to be less people there as well. It's not going to be as frantic as DragonCon. Well, there is that as well, Jay. It's not going to be as frantic as DragonCon, which means that we can all sit. Did I Doppler out there a bit as well? I could see the screen freezing.
Yeah. That's all good, man.
But it means that
cool.
those fans
that sorry, lost you there.
I think we went
all of a sudden you were talking in on my screen. I was like, oh, shit, I gotta stop.
No, it's fine, man. I was just saying.
Yeah, man. And then the other cool, I'm just going to keep going because I don't know when you're talking or not. The other cool thing that's happening is so 20 Books Vegas is turning into a author and fan based event, which is going to be really cool this upcoming year. So if you've heard us talk about 20 Books Las Vegas, that's turning into Author Nation, and Author Nation is half of it is going to be for authors specifically, but the other half is going to be fan events, which so he's I know the guy who's running. His name is Joe, a super nice guy. I like people named Joe, just based off my books. And the cool thing that he's doing is he's like, I want this to be essentially DragonCon West Coast, and DragonCon West Coast, where we are pulling in fans for all of these different genres and just cool and doing cool things. And so that's something I'm really looking forward to. And it's going to be cheaper for fans to go and see than it is for authors. So the idea is basically the authors that are there are sponsoring the conference happening. And so I'm excited, man. Like, I'm excited. I think this is a year where our genre has really started taking off, where we've started getting, that more mainstream recognition. We've started pulling in people, and now conferences are saying, hey, like, you can have your own track, right? Yeah. And how often do they do that? Like, freaking never, man. So it's freaking, I'm jazzed, man. I'm jazzed up. If I was any more jazzed, I'd be you, right?
Exactly.
I know.
To be fair, I tell my kids that the reason I've got a beard and no hair is that I got up too fast in the morning one day, and I went through my hair.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. In reality, it was the Velcro headboard that did it, but that's a different story.
The Velcro. Okay. Whatever, man. I don't even know like what that is supposed to represent. I'm like, I have no idea.
Just think about Velcro, the way it works, and then imagine that your headboard's covered in it, and something's
why?
pulling it out.
Why would that ever be a thing? I don't know.
You're just so sweet and innocent. No.
I'm scared over here. All right. Anyway, yeah, man. No, it's cool. But yes, I mean, it's been a really fantastic year for writing and for publishing, and just seeing the success that our like people around us have been able to achieve has been so cool, man. And it's just nice to know like our fans are there, man, and they're ready for it, and they're hungry for cool new content, and we will provide, right?
Good God, yes. It's nice because it's the more that we seem to interact with our fans, which is what we're all here for, the more there are, the more people are getting introduced every day. And I mean, I know I keep hearing from people saying, "Oh, it's terrible," the market's flooded, and it is.
Oh, it's saturated. Authors everywhere.
From when I started, which is obviously a long time after you started. I mean, I started like 3.5 years ago, and then it was a case of there were launches 2 or 3 a week. Now there's 5 or 6 a day, and it's massively different. But it's a case of now there's probably 10 times as many readers coming into the genre as well. And I'm a big proponent of a rising tide lifts all boats. It's literally a case of if when you're talking there, when you were saying about getting more people being accessible to more different genres and pulling in more readers. And the most mercenary point of view we can all have as authors with this is that we really want you to do well in doing this, because people will read your books and then they'll be in the genre and they'll go, what else have we got? And then everybody else gets some as well. So there's no reason for us to not support you, because
which is the coolest thing ever, right? Like, man, and I tell you, like I said with Dinneman, and how his success has brought in people that have never heard of our genre, and now they're coming in and they're reading everyone else. Man, they're like hooked on the genre. They're loving it. It's just, man, I'm just so pleased that people in our genre don't look at this and say it's a zero-sum game. They're like, we all recognize like, hey, the more successful authors we have, the more successful authors we will have, and so it's just so cool. And it being a publisher and having seen many other genres, I can tell you that it is very non-standard how our genre works, which is wonderful. Yeah.
I was always a reader first. It was a case of I never expected, as I've said, to be a writer, and certainly never to be involved in the publishing side of things. I never thought I'd be in this position. And I just read because it was my escape from everything. I mean, when I was welding, for example, I'd have audiobooks in my ear all day, then sort of the headset and everything on and all my gear on. And it'd be a case of I would walk into work and I've got like a 12-hour shift where I am cooking myself in this heavy overalls. I'm getting bits of spatter that are burning through. My arms look like I'm a bloody heroin addict. I've got so many little holes. And my wife used to take great pleasure in cutting bits of metal out of my arms that have, liquid, glowing pieces of steel that have burned into my arm. And then she'd be pulling them out at night time. And I spent all day loving these stories and escaping from what was a tedious fucking job. I'm literally staring through like this little screen here at this glowing bloody light, just trying to go, right, if I wash that back and forth just a little bit more, I'll be able to get that just perfect stack of coins weld. And that was literally, thank God for audiobooks, because otherwise I would have gone mad. We used to have bosses that walked around and they were like, you better not have headphones on. And I'd be sort of looking at them and they're playing still. And I'd be like, no. I'm reading
that. Sorry, you say something?
And then you sort of hold up like an earplug and go, I can't hear you. Got me earplugs in. Oh, okay. They'd walk off and then, no, I'm listening to Robert Jordan. I'm listening to whatever and having this wonderful escape. And audiobooks have given me that forever. And it's crazy to be involved in this now. And I'm constantly waiting for you know, somebody to turn up on the door, knock on the door, and just go, "You're not a real author. You're not a real publisher."
Oh man, dude, I can't
right
tell you how many people have told me that.
Yeah.
Right? Like, yeah, like, oh man, I have so many stories of stuff like that happening where people are just like, "Hey man, I hear you're doing well as an author." I'm like, "Yeah, man, I'm making good money. Like things are going well. I'm supporting my family. It's really nice." And I remember the first time it ever happened, it really caught me off guard because I was at an author conference, right? I was like at it, and this one guy's like, "Yeah, you know, I had that dream once, and you should probably give it up because it's way too hard." And I'm like, I've been doing this for like 3 years, or like at that point, it had been like a year where I was like making good money. And I was like, that's man, I'm sorry that you felt the need to give up, but that is never advice I'll give someone else. You know what I mean?
Like, what are you doing at an author conference if you're feeling that way about things?
Man, it honestly, it was probably someone who was like, look at all this competition and let's try and whittle it down, you know, like, and it's just, man, it's just the wrong attitude to have. It really is. Also, hi to TJ. I saw TJ pop in.
Yeah. TJ, dude. I mean, I think I told you about this once before, that when I went to 20 Books in Madrid with Kev Sinclair, and we were there, and this guy came across to the group where we were sitting all having some beers in the nighttime, chatting away. And he sort of looked at Kev and I and said, "You shouldn't be here." We were like, "Right?" And he went, No, you shouldn't be here. You shouldn't be wasting real authors' time. You should go down the road and shout at the TV like the other Neanderthals in there when they were watching the football." And it was like, you were sort of sitting there going,
muscles or what? Like, I'm
I'm
trying to figure out why.
Because, I mean, Kev's bigger than I am, but we're both fairly big guys. And we're, shaved head, beard. We look thuggish. So we're sitting there around all these other authors, having a great time. And he'd picked us out of the crowd to say, "You shouldn't be here. You should fuck off." And then proceeded to tell everybody how successful he was. Until one of the other authors apparently knew him and pointed out the fact that he was actually shit. Just shot him down in public and then toddled off. But it was a case of like, why would you do this?
It's, man, I forget who keeps popping in with the fun pithy sayings there, but yeah, like no imposter syndrome, man. Like that's
Ed White.
Like, yep, there we go, Ed. Hey, Ed. But no, man, like the JD. But yeah, man, it's one of those things where it's like there's literally no reason for it. Like no one goes up to no one goes up to someone like at a grocery store, stocking shelves, and like, you're not what, you suck. Like, why are you doing this? Like, you should go and have a different crappy career. Not, I mean, like, I need to relieve some stress. I'm gonna yell at some random person I don't know. Like it's just weird. Like when we see that in any other field or any other industry, like especially like customer service or anything like that, which we are in, man. Like we are in customer service at a very high degree, right?
Yeah.
And when we look at stuff online, and like people make these videos making fun of those guys, but then when you talk to other authors and you're like, yeah, that's just like Tuesday, like I just like last week someone told me I sucked and I should stop, or they said I write too fast, so I either have to have ghostwriters or I have to be doing AI stuff. And I love that because I write publicly, right? Like people can come in and watch me write. I stream every single day that I'm doing it. And I write anywhere from like 8,000 to 10,000 words a day, and you can see it. You can see my screen as I'm doing it. You can hear me talk as I'm dictating. And it's super fun to like be able to point to that and just be like, oh man, I love how just absolutely wrong you are and how bad you suck. Yeah,
definitely. Because the thing is, I mean, I've stepped back from, I've never done consistently 8,000 to 10,000 a day. It just does not fucking happen for me. I think the best I've hit is about 12 in a day, and I generally hit around the 5,000 mark, and that I am happy with.
Also 5, fantastic.
Well, yeah, man. 5,000 words a day, 5 days a week. So I work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. I don't work the weekends.
25,000 words a week, and you got a book in a month.
Well, 100,000 words in a month. Yep. 2 months, you've got a real size book.
Yeah. big old chunky book,
Exactly. But it's a case, I literally, because I just waffle so much, that's why my books are so big. It's not actually any plan, it's just that I fucking waffle. A bit like I do here.
Yeah. You get like a what?
I waffle. I just go on and on and on, and I just talk shite.
Okay.
It's obviously not an American term.
That is not how I use the word waffling. Waffling, like, to me, is like going back and forth on something a lot. Like if I'm waffling on something, I'm like, am I going to go this way? I'm going to go that way. So, like, you just I mean, I can see you as like ranting a lot. Like that tracks in my head when I think about you.
There's a little bit of that. I do spend a bit of time.
No, man, I'm teasing. You're great. No, actually, the first time I met you, I was like, I wanted to kick you out of the place, but I definitely was like, whoa, this guy, like, I mean, he's either gonna like pick me up and like break me in half, or he's gonna talk to me about books for a while. I hope it's the second one.
Well, I'm like that. Everybody cuddles.
No, it was great. No, and honestly, man, like you've been nothing but awesome, and it's always been just fantastic chatting with you. And I've always loved how straightforward we can be with each other. Like if there's an issue, we don't beat around the bush. We just are like, hey, man, here's the thing that's going on, or whatever else. And
I appreciate that.
I always have appreciated that about you. So
I'm not good at subtle. So I really appreciate when we talked about a few things in the past. So when you've come to me and you've just said it straight out, Ryan, it's so much nicer for me to deal with people.
And having trying to figure it out, like, yes.
Do subtle. My wife is sort of the negotiator in the family. She's very much the calming influence, and well, maybe means this, maybe that's this, maybe she said this and it's been taken that way. And I'm like, bollocks.
No, man, I aggressively go after face value to the point where I'm like, hey, love, talking to my wife, I'm like, hey, love, I really want to go hang out with the guys. Yeah. Hey, love, how you doing? But no, I'll talk to my wife. I'm like, hey, love, I really want to go out with the guys. I know we have both kids and they both need to go to bed. Do you mind if I go? And she's like, oh yeah, sure. Yeah. Why not? Why don't you just go ahead and go hang out with your friends instead of anything else tonight? I'm like, great. Thanks, babe. And I will leave. I will absolutely go because she said it's cool. And if there's one person I have to absolutely trust with everything in my life, it is my wife. And if she doesn't want that, she'll let me know that she doesn't want me to go. Yeah. And so she's like, yeah, why don't you just go ahead and go and hang out with your friends? Thanks, babe. I'm off. Yeah. And
she's going.
And I do. I really do.
To be fair, I mean, Chrissy, this year I was getting stressed to buggery last year now. And when you don't see it yourself, you don't see how stressed you are, and you're forgetting things, and you're constantly running from job to job. And I got up in the morning, and she was like, right, on this is like the Wednesday or Thursday, and she's like, right, you need to sort out your passport. And I was like, why? What the fuck has she booked something now? Where are we going? What's going on? What? And she went, tomorrow you're flying. You're going to Mallorca for 3 days on your own. I've checked you in. And I was just like, talk to me more about this. And she sent me away for 3 nights to this little hotel in Mallorca, all inclusive. So it was all like beer and all my food. And she literally took my phone off me before I left, and took all of like emails, all that kind of stuff, everything she signed me out of or deleted from the phone. I went, there you go. You can use it to phone me, and here's a new Kindle for you. Fuck off. And literally just away for 3 days. It was awesome. It was awesome.
Right. Wives as business partners is dangerous, but it can also be awesome.
Because they see so much more. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yes, very much so. And, I got very lucky. I got very lucky with my wife, both as a partner and as a business partner. You know what I mean? So it's good stuff. So no, that's great. We'll have to get together and let our wives talk about business while we hang and drink and stuff.
Yeah. That works.
You and me will drink. They'll actually make things happen. It'll be cool.
Yeah, Chrissy doesn't even really drink. It's very, very rare. It's rare that I drink, but I tend to drink on lives and at conventions. I don't tend to drink beyond that.
Sure. She drinks. I actually conventions is the one place that I will not have a drop. And like anytime I'm in public where I'm like, unless I'm very close or really know the people that I'm with, nope. Because no, I already ramble enough. I don't need to run my mouth You know what I mean? Like in public settings, I'm like, oh yeah, so.
I'm just literally a case of, because I'm not good with big crowds, I just tend to go into overdrive. So I'm like, no, I'm going to drink, I'm going to have food, and then you're just going to get me as I am. You can like me or you can lump me, and I'm just going to have fun. Which is why I'm generally broken at the end of the week.
Yeah, right. I'm totally the opposite. Like I really want to have fun and stuff like that, but I'm so bad at remembering names. I'm so bad at like doing all this stuff that adding any kind of alcohol to the mix is I'm useless in terms of like proper business, you know? And usually that's yeah. Huh?
I don't do any business. I just go to meet people and then I'm off. I'm making it very, very clear. Look, I'm drinking. Nothing I say here has any effect on anything from now on. I'm just having fun. So cool. Yeah, but it's all about building relationships. So
yes, exactly, right? Yeah, and I can do that. I can do that with coffee, man. Like I'll sit, man. And here's the thing, though. I really like bourbon lore, right? Like I really like talking like about bourbon. I really like the process of making it. I think it's really cool. Like I really like that side of things, especially. And I'm definitely a bourbon guy. I like bourbon. And that's what I have at home. That's what I have with friends. But man, out in public, coffee and water. That's it. Hard stop. Lots of water. Yeah, man, we got really off topic there. Is there anything you want to go over or like chat about? Because we've been here for about an hour, and I feel like I should go and help my wife with my kids soon.
No, it was just literally tonight was all just about talking about you and about your books. So we've gone off on a fucking random, but I mean, do you want to talk a little bit more about the other stuff that's going on with your stories, about any of your authors? What are you?
Man, you know, I mean, I have so much to say, so much positive to say about my authors, man. Like they're fantastic people and they work really hard and you know, just doing cool things and writing amazing stories. You know, and I get to do cool things with them where like I'm taking everyone to like I'm setting up a thing where we're all going to a beach house soon. Like we're like gonna go and hang out and go to like Universal Studios, and that'll be cool. And yeah, so just lots of fun things that I get to do with really, really cool people. So and that's because we have been able to build a really neat community of authors who are working really hard and doing really cool things. So yeah, I mean that's one of the neat things with my like what I'm focusing on right now, because again, like I have this release coming out Tuesday, and I took 6 months. I took a quarter of our total publishing slots for our company, right? So from October to now, right, till the end of March, you know, because we only at maximum put out a book a week, right? At maximum. Hey, Sarah, how you doing?
Sure.
She's fantastic. She's, if not in the lead with that giveaway, she's real dang close. So yeah, that's cool. But no, man, like I've been heads down, just pounding out books, man. I finished another book on Thursday. Was it Thursday this last week? Yeah. Finished another book on Thursday. New series is gonna be fantastic. And October, November, and December, I put out books 9, 10, and 11 in the Completionist Chronicles. And just, it had a fantastic ending to that arc. There's 9 books left in the series to go. I started in 2018. I think it'll probably end fully in 2026. I think that's when the final book is going to come out. 20 total books in that series is planned. But yeah, man, the last book that came out was here in December was Thunderplump.
I saw. Yeah, I'll be honest, I haven't got to that one yet. I do love the series, but it's like I saw that name and I was like, "What the fuck is that man on?"
Oh man,
you came up with that name.
I heard that when I was in Edinburgh, right?
Yeah.
And it started raining on us suddenly, and the guy I was with, Malcolm, super nice guy, was like, "Oh man, I just got hit by a thunderplump," and I was like, "What did you just say, bro? Like, what is the word that came out of your mouth right now?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, it's like a sudden downpour of rain at the start.
It just comes out of nowhere, and it's like, boom, like steroids." Yeah.
And I was like, I'm gonna use that word someday. I don't know where, and then like 6 years later, I was able to use that as the title of one of my books, and that was really cool. And And yeah, man, it was let's see, Tenacity, Thesserize, and Thunderplump, and just they were so fun to write, man, so fantastic. And it was like it really, I feel, tied up that arc well, and gave me lots of opportunity for my future titles, like to kind of pull back from the kind of like panic mode that the character has been going through, and get to a stable position. It took 11 books for him to finally have like a stable foundation for him to step forward off of.
Yeah.
And it was really nice to leave on a really positive note for once in that series. And that was something I was so happy. I was like, oh my gosh, yes, good. And now we can move forward into the next books at a nice, like, sedate pace. 9 more books to go, to hit the highest ranks and do the coolest things. So I'm excited about that. Yeah. But it's 1.21 million words in that series right now. So that's, yeah, and so it's should hit like 2.5 million, I'd say, probably by the end of the series. So that's pretty fun.
Nice. So I think I've gotten to the point where because of the way I was working, because I'm so fucking, I think Tao said it best, with he has the same mentality as squirrel brain. So, something shiny, I'm off. And
sure.
because of the way
I call it world builder syndrome because it sounds like fancy.
Fucking squirrel brain. It's much more accurate for me. What's the...
Whatever, man.
Okay, I like that chunk to master for range. I like that. Yeah. So I've been working, doing sort of 2 books, and then moving on to 2 more books in a different series, then 2 books in a different series, to keep the world sort of fresh for me. So I've been going for the 3 series I've been working on, each one. And I've now gotten to the point where I'm going, right, people are saying, well, look, I really like this one. I don't fucking like this series. And I don't want to wait, like 9 months or 2 years or whatever for more in that. So I've just said, right, okay, what I'll do is I'll dominate my family all in a minute to win games. Don't give me a totty and tell you to smack people in the face and not expect me to play to win. Paul, I love you, but you're fucking terrifying at times, dude. So at the moment, I'm finishing off my Arise series, and I'm like sort of, when you're that close to the end of the book, and you can feel the build up, and it's like this last chapter. I've got maybe 2 chapters left to go, and this chapter I'm on, and you're going, it's not quite right. And so it's like a cog in like a machine, and you go, it's just spinning at the moment. It's not quite fitting. So I may have to redo this chapter. But knowing that this is going to be done at another, I think it's about 215,000 words, this one. And then this one will be done, and I've got 1 more book left to do in this series, and be like, that's it. Arise is done, and it's back on the rise of mankind. I mean, I think this is going to be, what is it? It's 200 for the first one, 320 for the second one, so 520. Third one was 200, I think.
Fantastic, man.
200. So yeah, I tend to hit around the 200, so it's like 920, say, at the moment. And then this one, as book 5, is going to be probably 215 or so. So it's going to be 1.2. And then I've got 1 book left to go, which will probably end it on about 1.5. I think, and then that's just like,
it's cool. And it's cool. Isn't it cool to just know that and be like, I'm going to write another 1,000,000 words in the next 9 months to a year, whatever else, like, isn't that a weird feeling?
It really is, especially when you think like dissertations. I mean, it's nowhere near as difficult as writing a dissertation or doing that kind of stuff. Believe me, people, anybody that's still along with us for the ride, it is nowhere near that fucking difficult. We just basically hallucinate and put it down. That's what we're doing. We're like on hard drugs and seeing shit without the hard drugs. We're just like,
there you go. I'm like, hardest for me is like coffee and like bourbon every other month. Oh man, no, I just love writing, man. That's the thing. Like I have like a real passion for making books happen, and I love doing it. People love reading it, and I make money doing it. It's the trifecta, bro.
Yeah. Like, why would you not?
Coolest crap ever. Best career path for me that exists. Because
definitely, definitely the same. Definitely the same. And I basically just have Red Bull all day long. So it's just,
Red Bull, yeah.
I'm like that.
Got wings.
Yeah, I'm just high as a kite for most of the day. It's great. Then I come downstairs. Do you find this when you have really productive days and you finish and you go downstairs and your wife talks to you and you're just like, me no word now.
Yes.
Like me no word good. Yeah.
So funny story, actually. That happened pretty recently because I wrote Thunderplump in 2 weeks, right? So it ended up being 128,000 words, and I did that in 2 weeks. And I was really lucky because I had done the first 2 books before that. Like I'd finished the last I had finished Thesserize, and I was moving straight into Thunderplump, right? And I do outlines for 3 books at a time. So I was on the third one, the outline was super tight. I had been in the world for a good long time. So I didn't have to like rev up. You know how you do if you like
Yeah.
start over or start back in that series. And so I just hit the ground running, and because my narrator, Luke Daniels, love the dude. He had someone like could not turn in a book when they were supposed to turn in a book, and so he's like, "Hey, I have to fill this slot, but if I fill it with the next one in line, that bumps you back like a month." And I was like, "Yo, this book is like we scheduled everything so that it would be perfectly ready to come out in December. So like I can't have you like recording it in December. Like it needs to come out in December." And he's like, "No, well, can you get it to me 2 weeks before I'm supposed to have it?" And I was like,
Yes.
"Let's find out." So yeah, man, I went and I stayed in my office like 10 hours a day, and didn't take off Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like just went the whole like 14 days straight,
Yeah.
and did 10,000 words a day, and then straight into edits, and handed it off to my editor on the 15th day. And but yeah, man, it was like it followed the outline so perfectly. It was so tight, like the like everything I wanted to hit, I had hit, and I tied it up super well because I was there fully immersed in that world for the entire time that I was writing it. And the problem was I would go downstairs and I would see my kids and I would see my wife, and they'd say something, and like 5, 6, 7 seconds later, I would understand what they had just said to me. And like I was like fully like catatonic, right? Like catatonia is the hallmarks of it is not being able to respond to stimuli for multiple seconds at a time, right? And so I was like legitimately catatonic from just sheer like mental exhaustion doing this.
Yeah.
And so like it got worse and worse and worse like the longer I followed that schedule. And so at the end of it, I was like, okay, well, I'm gonna go put the kid down, put the kid to bed, you know. And my wife was like, yo, just go to bed. And I was like, honey, it's 7 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not going to bed right now. I slept for like 19 hours. Like I went upstairs and slept, and I did not wake up until it was lunchtime, like the day after I got done with it. And man, it was I definitely found the breaking point in how much and how constantly I can write. And I'm not doing that again, man. Holy cow.
Yeah.
That was rough stuff. But it was
Definitely.
great, man. Fantastic book. I highly recommend reading it, especially since you have to read the first 10 books to get there, you know.
Yeah. You're so subtle about these things, man. You know, you're just so subtle. Buy my fucking book, bitches. Buy my book.
Yeah. You know, read the first 10, I'll give you the 11th book for free, right?
Yep. Never go full retard. You're right, Paul.
I just saw a Simple Jack thing today, like a meme about that. Made me want to watch Tropic Thunder again.
Yeah, that's been a lot of years to watch that.
Yeah, right?
Oh, God.
Man, Robert Downey Jr. is freaking cool, though. Man, I don't know.
Yeah.
No.
God, I'm going to have to watch that again. Oh, no. I have so little time at the moment, but
I know.
To be fair,
trust me when I say I understand, bro. Like,
yeah, I think you do. Yeah, I've never. I always thought this was ridiculous. My wife, we've started building a lot of Lego with the kids now that they're a bit older. So Max is 5, so he's playing with Lego a lot more now, and he wasn't really into it. Steve, man, and now, and my wife bought me like an adult's Lego one, which the Mandalorian head, and I was like, what do I do with this? What's this all about? You know, I'm a grown man. What do I do with Lego? And I fucking really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. I was like, this is brilliant, actually.
Yeah,
But I had it in my head that, like, no, Lego's for when you're a kid, and you don't do it ever again after that. And so we went out and we bought, Chrissy might have bought me the one of the big Legos, and we've been sitting. She's been doing Hedwig from Harry Potter, and on a night time, we've just been sitting here talking absolute shit and clicking Lego, and it's been brilliant.
Yeah, man, it's 3D puzzles, man. That's what it is. It's like, yeah, and it's such a departure. That's one of the things that I found, man. It's such a departure from like what I normally do. That because for me, my hobbies include no screens, right? Like if I like video games and such, but my hobbies, no screens at all, man. I'm like as far away from a keyboard as possible. Like I'll go out and play like frisbee golf. I've got fun stuff I do out in the backyard, like things like that. But like I'm trying to. Oh, actually, I just told my daughter that if she starts learning piano, I'll take lessons with her because I am so. Like music is impossible for me. I love it. I can't. I've never been able to play it. But I told my daughter, like, hey, if you want to start learning piano, I will come and take lessons too. And if it's hard for you, well, it's definitely gonna be hard for me because you know, I don't have the youngster bonus of like learning things quickly. You know. So I mean, like trying to do lots of hobbies where I'm not at a screen. That's kind of the whole point of that. Sorry.
I always wanted to be able to play the piano, but I always wanted it to be like that suave sort of like, hi, of course, a gentleman can always play the piano. And I was like, dun, dun, dun. I was like, yeah, I have zero musical talent whatsoever.
Same.
At all. No chance of me doing it. I'd be very impressed.
I can play a few things on the ocarina. And I only did that because I absolutely forced myself to learn some Zelda stuff. Like 6 years of owning that sucker, and I can play like half of one song really well. So that's kind of where I'm coming out with music, man. Anyway, hey, dude, like I said, I should probably go and take over for my wife, let her get some free time. But dude, thank you so much for coming and being a part of this. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you in person. And if Jordan Con is the first place that's going to happen, I'll be there, man. So
sounds good, brother. I'm going to be there as well, and I'm going to be naughtily drunk. So yeah, we shall catch up. You shall remember things. I will not. And
it'll be perfect.
Please, for the love of God, don't remind me of some of the stuff I get up to.
That works out really well for me, actually. Like I'll remember things you won't, and then like then I can just like completely say, yeah, this is definitely what happened. You know, totally. Yeah, you definitely. I didn't. You weren't dressed up like a sheep. I don't know what you're talking about. Like that was a dream.
Why have I got property of Dakota Krout tattooed on my arm?
I mean, you know. The nice thing is it'll be in a place you can't see it very easily. I mean, you just have to trust that. You just have to trust Chrissy that it's there. You know, she could be making it up.
She would draw it on as well, just for shit to giggles, to really make me believe it. But no worries, Dakota. Thank you so much for joining us again tonight. Thanks for
hey man, thanks so much for being here and doing this. And it's fun. You know, like it's like I tell people a lot. This is a career that's exactly as lonely as you let it be. So it's nice to just sit and chat with people, and when they're as friendly as you, it's twice as nice, which is great.
It was mad. The thing is, well, the whole point of us doing these lives was always, and doing Legion in the first place, was always to talk about other authors. So is there anybody else that you want to talk about? Anybody that you think doesn't get enough recognition that you want to?
Oh man, enough recognition? No, I mean everyone, man. I think like if you went out there and sold a book to 10 million people, you're getting to like 3% of America. You know what I mean? It's like name an author who does get enough recognition, and I will tell you hundreds of millions of people that have no idea who that person is. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the cool things. Like, yeah, like authors need recognition for sure, but to an extent. Just to an extent, which is a nice thing. Like you don't have to be, you know, the most well-known person in the entire world. Like you can just have a great career and really great fun. Otherwise, in our genre, man, like I'm always going to push my own people, right? That's kind of the whole point of having a publishing company. But you know, I know Nikolai has a new book coming out in the next couple of months here, which is really cool. Dennis Vanderkerken is who writes currently the Artorn's Archives, and he has a new series planned, which I'm really excited about, and really excited to like start pushing out for people. Yeah, I mean, those guys have some really cool stuff coming out soon, which is something really awesome. There's another couple guys, Sean Loomer And shoot, I must say Rikus. But so the Tower. There's a really fun series, Jackal Among Snakes, that we're putting out right now. Really awesome, coming off of Royal Road to be published with us, which is fantastic. Jackal Among Snakes is, if you haven't read it, it is fantastic. It really is.
I haven't read it yet.
Yeah, man. I mean, the series is so well written, so well plotted out, and so thoughtful that I recommend it to anyone. And it's clean enough that, you know, I can recommend it to pretty much anyone, which is nice. And then there's another one coming out with us. It's called Tower of Jack, and it is man, I don't even know how to describe it, except just like the funniest assassin character I've ever read in my life. And thank you, Geneva. Just great stuff, man. Like, I would go through every single one of my authors and tell you awesome things about them because they are amazing people, and that's why they're with us, right? And unfortunately, I do have to leave. So I keep going back to that. So I love this. I gotta go. Thank you all so much for being here. And read my stuff, read Jez's stuff, read everyone in our genre, because that's the only way we're gonna break through into the wider community. And you guys were here first, reading the author's original works. How cool is that crap? Yeah, right. 10 years in, someone's gonna be like, "Oh man, have you read this Jez guy? Like he's got a bunch of books and they're fantastic." And they're gonna be like, "Excuse you." I was there. Don't cite the deep magic to me.
You're just too kind, man. You're too kind. I will quickly say, just before we leave, just very, very quickly, Brian, our own Brian, who is the lunatic, Brian J. Norden, has his new book, his second book, coming out on the 12th as well. So anybody that's in there. And there are going to be a couple of new promotions and a couple of new announcements in the next week or so in the Legion. So keep an eye out for that, everybody. And we will let Dakota go. And thank you, people.
Love you all. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for being here. And for those of you watching, thanks for watching. And read and listen however you like. So hopefully see you all soon.
Thank you then, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye now.